I'm Holly.
I'm Leslie.
I'm John.
And we would be dead. All three at once. Give yourself a hand, you guys. That was great. Welcome, fiends, to Halfoween! Woo! I like the ghost noises. Is it late? Yes. Do we care? No, we do not. If you attended our live Halfoween celebration last week, some of this might sound a little familiar to you, but actually, most of it is going to be brand spanking new.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Double the Halfoween content this year. We talked about a lot of the, themes we explore in this episode, but we didn't tell any of the stories.
Yeah.
So, thankfully, brand new for you guys. And also, if you missed the live, that's sad for you. You could have had 2 times the fun. Next time you got to show up. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say.
That's it. That's all you got to do. It's not hard, guys.
It isn't, please.
Goodness.
Now, for those of you who don't really know what Halfoween is, obviously it's supposed to be halfway to Halloween, and we here at We Would Be Dead choose this time to explore the very nature of our deepest, darkest fears. The stories that invade our soul, haunt our memories, steal our sleep, and generally leave us sweating and uncomfortable at the mere mention of their existence. In short, we are exploiting our phobias. And yours.
Yeah, mostly mine today.
Mostly
it
yours.
feels like.
We chose violence, and we chose it against Leslie. And I don't know why.
She's so fun to scare.
I know. Yeah.
I'm also hopped up on coffee right now, so.
Oh, boy.
It's going to be wild.
Good times.
Wild.
Really, we designed this originally to frighten each other, but then we involved you guys so everybody can be equally as uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And this year we brought John along for the ride.
I'm so excited.
Good times. But researching things that make us nervous is not without its consequences. None of us have been sleeping very well. We're jumpy. We're pale. We're just generally not at our best.
Yeah.
Yeah, feeling kind of weird. And
We look gross.
So gross. I like that I don't have a statement about that this week. So Leslie filled in with, we look gross. So good. And we've tried everything available to the general public to fix this, and some things that aren't available to the general public.
Ooh.
We're pretty sneaky. We've tried to remedy the situation, but nothing thus far has worked. But I do remember hearing the legend of one magical ingredient that just might do the trick. Just a little pinch of
validation. A hit worth dying on.
Oh my God. Props to you.
Somebody else got to experience the abject surprise at how Leslie does it every week with me.
That was so magical.
I don't know where that came from.
The spirit.
It
moved you.
Took me.
It really did.
Wow.
Listen, you guys, I think that's... I don't know that we'll ever get better than that.
You should have seen her prep for that.
She had to wind up. This is why we do need to get cameras. We will. I promise. Because, boy, that was a fun thing. And most importantly, Leslie, our fiends can give us that incredibly magical ingredient. Totally free of charge.
Shut the front door.
Oh, my God. What?
But how?
But how? You must be asking yourself. John forgot.
He forgot. It's okay.
He was
It was just
stunned.
going to be you.
Well, I will tell you. Simply head on over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating and or a friendly review. It really is the only way to move this podcast forward. Ratings and reviews equal attention, attention equals support, and support equals more and better content for all of you. But if you just cannot wait for more We Would Be Dead in your life, don't worry, you don't have to. This is going to be all of us, you guys. You can support us over on Patreon. Wow. Beautiful.
Excuse me.
So good.
That spirit is in it today.
This is in.
There, for just a few dollars a month, you will gain access to our entire collection of 30-minute horror movies, special minisodes, our weekly after show, Host Mortem, which is available in both video and audio formats. Maybe you want to see our faces. Maybe you don't. Both are okay, I guess. You'll also
we look gross, but like we're like cute gross.
Yeah.
Right? So like
10 out of 10 cute gross.
you want to see our faces.
Plus, during the course of recording this, we feel validation. So we look better when we finish than when we started.
Which is really sad that when they do see us in those mornings.
Listen, we look great, Leslie. Or we will. Oh, God. You'll also get a special gift in the mail from us if you're a patron. You get an opportunity to participate in some giveaways, some merch deals, and on-air toast dedicated just to you and more. We have more exclusive content in the works for you, our beloved patrons, but if you have anything you'd like to see from us, never hesitate to let us know. In all honesty, we are here thanks to our patrons, so come on over and be part of the We Would Be Dead family.
So nice.
Do it.
And if all of that is a little too much for you, you can simply follow us on social media. We are at Would Be Dead Pod anywhere and everywhere you get your content, which leads me to some new and fun things that you guys can keep an eye out for. So if you've noticed, we have a little more of John in our lives now.
Hello.
We've brought John on as an adjunct member of our team.
Yes.
I will say we're going to partner with John and his beautiful Poison Garden account, Grimace Gardens, to give you a little more in the way of social media fun. So keep an eye out for us on TikTok in the future and other general spooky educational tomfoolery. We'll have more of John on the pod for you guys here and there too, if we can get him here.
Oh, as often as I can be here, I will be.
Yay! And at our live events. So just more fun for everyone, which we like.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, poison is my pet topic. So John has agreed to put me in a room with like botanical poison history. So you better believe that we're going to dig into all of that entails for you guys. And you'll hear more of that in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited.
Me too.
Do you have all your little babies started?
Oh, they're all rapidly growing right now. And I did let you-know-who flower.
Why?
Because I'm going to make jewelry out of it. Don't judge me.
John.
Who?
Hemlock.
My hemlock.
Oh, Hemi.
But I have it in nets, so it's all safe. And I'm cutting it down tomorrow.
Get it out. The
But
flower of poison hemlock, if you
Yes.
inhale it, causes COVID symptoms.
I know, but the jewelry is going to be so pretty.
You could have just used Queen Anne's lace and no one would have known.
But I would have known.
Oh, no.
I'm a perfectionist Virgo. What can I say?
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, keep an eye out for John's fancy jewelry. I'll never go near the hemlock. I hate hemlock. But give us a real quick, like, what do you have going right now?
Oh,
Give us a quick rundown.
so many foxgloves. I have 2 new brigmansias. I have all of my belladonna. I have like 4 belladonnas right now. I have one for you.
Yay, thank you.
Yeah, that's like mostly what I have. I have my mandrake root. I have oleander. I have it all. All of it.
Yes, we love it. We'll do some video tours
Yeah.
with you in the very near future, I'm sure. So anyway, that's our newest news, you guys. You can support our social media because we're still talking about that in several ways. Always follow us, of course, but you can also like our posts, share our posts, like and share our posts.
Mm.
Yeah, that's right. Leave us a comment, post about your favorite episode. Let us know when you're listening. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell that guy that you say hi to on your daily walks, but never says hi back. What's his name?
Ew.
I know. See, already I'm achieving my goal this week.
Frank.
Came to you so quick.
Fucking Frank.
Fucking Frank.
It makes me think of Donnie Darko in the bunny suit, just saying shit and not saying hi. All right. Well, then there you go. Then your friends and Frank can become fiends and we can all hang out together. We'll get him to warm up eventually.
Yeah.
He'll come out of it.
Maybe this sharing this show with him, he'll warm up. He'll be like, oh my God, finally somebody to talk about true crime with.
Yeah.
I'll be like, Frank, the entire neighborhood talks about true crime.
Get in on it. And then he'll be like, I'll stop killing all those people. And we'll be
Oh
like,
my
what?
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
But then you won't have any cases. It's a catch-22.
It really is. Don't
Or
worry.
at least go to a different neighborhood.
That, you know what? There you go. Perfect. He'll just go a neighborhood over for his dirty deeds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Frank. You're a gem. I think that is all I have in the way of weird announcements for this week. Leslie, do you have anything to add before we begin?
Absolutely not.
John, how about you? Do you have anything to add?
Not that I can think of.
All right, then. On with the show. So just so we're all beginning on the very same page, let's recap what exactly qualifies a phobia, medically speaking. And don't worry, I will be brief. A phobia is an anxiety disorder that causes an irrational, persistent, and excessive fear of a specific object, situation, or activity. Phobias can be triggered by a situation that seems safe to others, but the person with the phobia feels terrified. Phobias can be more pronounced than regular fears and can develop when someone has an exaggerated sense of danger about a situation or object. People with phobias may go to great lengths to avoid the source of their fear, which can restrict their day-to-day life and cause distress. In some cases, the fear can be so overwhelming that it can trigger a panic attack. And this is according to Johns Hopkins University. And I think they know what they're talking about, so we're going to trust them. Now, it is pretty well known at this point that Leslie is deathly afraid of snakes, home invasions, and child ghosts.
Yes.
She doesn't like those things. I am afraid of medical procedures, most specifically needles, aliens, and anything claustrophobic. I also have the series of small holes repulsion.
Oof.
But we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And I bet you most of you guys have it and you don't know you do. And John, we have learned recently that you are afraid of the vastness of space.
Yes. Oh, no.
Heights. You don't like heights.
No, big time.
And some, but not all, confined spaces.
Yes, very specific.
Right. And what did you explained this on our live. What did you call it?
What did I call it?
Situational?
Oh, situational claustrophobia.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some things. So like
Some things.
What kind of closed space would make you nervous or repulsed?
I figured this out when I was watching As Above, So Below, and the cave kind of like fell down on people and they were trapped in there. So that's what like triggered it. I almost had to leave the theater.
Oh no.
It was really bad. But like, I think like a cave probably. It's something that's really deep underground, and if something happens, you're not getting out.
Yep.
That's the problem for me.
And Leslie was going to cover Nutty Putty Cave, but I already did it.
I know.
So
I was like, I know this case. Why?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I told you about it.
Yeah. But that one would probably be very nerve-wracking for you.
Mhm. I believe it.
Okay, so in polling our listeners, we have also discovered that while you guys are unique little unicorns in some ways, you also have a lot in common. Many of you are afraid of darkness, open water, clowns, animatronics, and the general uncanny valley, which is a topic we have covered at length in the past, so we are not going to touch on it today. There's also a lot of people who agree with the vastness of space. A lot of people do not like that at all. A lot of people are afraid of home invasions. That's a very common one too. Any kind of creepy crawlies. So in addition to snakes, we have like spiders and insects and anything like that. A lot of people have this series of small holes repulsion, a lot of claustrophobia, and especially the fear of being buried alive, which does align with claustrophobia, but it's its own thing.
Yeah. It'd be like very specific.
Yeah. And we're going to touch on most of these things today. So like get your blankie ready and hang on tight. Most phobias have very rational roots. It's normal for a human to be afraid of a situation that could easily kill them or cause them terrible bodily harm. So like it makes sense to be afraid of poisonous snakes. Or venomous. I'm so sorry. Someone will come at me for that.
Yes.
It makes sense to be...
Not me.
No. No. But they're dangerous. It makes sense to be afraid of that. It makes sense to be afraid of being buried alive. That's terrifying and dangerous as our home invasions. But then there are some phobias that seem to make absolutely no sense at all. And it is those fears, however, that led me to the understanding, at least in my own brain, that at the end of the day, what we are all afraid of in one way or another is the loss of control. I'm going to prove this point at several different locations in this episode this week. But let's put that to the test real quick. So for instance, my weird phobia that I put in our original post on our social media for this event, I think it might have only been in our Facebook group and on Instagram. I don't remember. But I had asked you guys what your weird fears was. My example was something called lutrophobia, which is the fear of otters.
Right.
Yeah.
And at first everyone's like, but they're so cute. They hold hands. But they're like vicious.
They're so vicious.
They really are. And like, we didn't really know that, but I think the people who have this fear are well aware of it. They attack humans like I won't say all the time, but enough.
Enough, yeah.
Enough that if you see one, you should not pet it.
Yeah, yeah.
It will bite you.
So we have the zoo near us, and my friend is always like in there cleaning the otter.
Oh,
like, I don't know what the pond.
Enclosure.
Yeah. But every time she's always like, these fucking assholes.
Oh, no.
And we're just like, more otters, please. Yeah. And she's like, God damn it.
They're so cute and they stand up and they have
She was just like, oh, they're such jerks.
But no, they will bite you. And there's a couple specific cases where the attack was so severe that people were like torn to shreds. They had to have like reconstructive surgery.
Boy.
Yeah, it's wild. So you know what? There's a little kernel of necessity in every one of these, but why don't you guys share a few examples and we'll see if I can explain them. It's a fun game.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
I was like, I don't have any.
Leslie and John,
You do.
Leslie and John have brought along a list of the most obscure and ridiculous phobias currently recognized by the internet. I'm sure there are more, but these are the ones the internet talks about. And so I'll tell you how they are more logical than you might think. So go ahead, guys.
All right. I'll start off here with the one that's really hard to pronounce.
Oh, I hate it.
Arachibutyrophobia.
Oh, and what is that?
The fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth.
Ooh, yeah, like, because you would be like choking, right? You'd be like,
I guess.
It's because it mimics the sensation of not being able to breathe.
Right.
So, yeah, similar to choking.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So, like, a similar fear to this one, and it's weird to see how they're related, but they are, is, and I have this one, if you get really nervous when you are numb at the dentist.
Oh.
So like when my soft palate is numb, like my upper jaw, I have like panic attacks. Like I freak the fuck out.
Interesting.
I would just assume you'd freak out at the dentist anyway.
I have to be heavily sedated. It's
Like,
true.
Yeah. Like, I don't like going to the dentist, so I can't imagine that. I don't even know how you get there.
Somebody else drives me and then I am unconscious. That's how. I have a dentist that sedates me fully.
Yeah. So wild.
It's not
That's
good.
wild,
It's
yeah.
not good. But like that, see, Leslie got it right away too.
Yeah.
It's because you feel like you're not going to be able to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one. Pogonophobia.
Oh,
Pogonophobia.
I want that to be clowns. It should be clowns.
Pogonophobia. I don't know, but it's the fear of beards.
Beards.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, which I do not have because my husband has the beard. I love a good beard.
I think this is because you can't read their facial expressions as easily when someone has a beard. So like, what are they thinking? It's all very shifty.
Yeah.
And that relates back to like uncanny valley fears. So like how we said people are afraid of frozen faces or masks or clown makeup where you're in a fixed facial expression. It's because your brain cannot read them. You don't know what to anticipate. So like they could do anything, basically.
I beg to differ.
Okay.
Ooh.
Because I can never not read John's face, and he has a pretty big beard.
John is your husband.
I know, but
So-
and a lot of the men in my life have beards, but I think it's more of like germs. Like they're dirty. They're supposed to be. When
I guess it could
would
be,
sell
yeah.
beard
Didn't think about
oil,
that.
one of the things I would sell it, I would say is beards are one of the dirtiest things on men's faces. So like you need to keep it clean. So this oil has like cleansing properties.
Okay.
And if you want women kissing that beard, women or men or whoever, like kissing the beard or getting close,
Yeah.
better keep it clean.
So I'm going to say it's probably both of those things. You don't have that phobia, obviously. So like these are not going to apply to you totally.
No, I know. But that's what
yeah.
I would think it would be more of like germs. But
Yeah,
that
I
would be
think
interesting.
I didn't even think of that. And I think that's totally valid. I think both of them are valid because I think if it's at a distance, you might not be thinking like that beard's going to jump at me. But if you're closer to it, then you might be thinking like this is going to be like a gross situation.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I wonder what it is. Like, is it if they see somebody with a beard, they're like, or is it a beard getting near them, you know?
I bet there's both.
Yeah.
I bet there's both forms of it. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. Okay. All right. But both of them lead back to you're not in control of your situation. Germs put you at like a place where you're not in control of your body and not being able to read what someone else is
Yeah,
going to do.
and you don't want to get sick.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
Okay.
This is all same thing. Anyway.
Okay.
Number 3, we have nomophobia.
Is that the fear of gnomes?
Oh my gosh, I wish.
Oh, same.
This is the fear of being without your mobile phone or being unable to use it.
That one's just sad.
It is. So my thought originally was that this kind of fear, and it relates more to like a slightly, no, I won't say younger. It's like a very specific type of person, but it's the fear of like not knowing what's going on, in my opinion. Like,
The
Right.
FOMO.
yeah, it's totally no mo FOMO. But like if everybody's talking about something without you and then you don't know what was going on, that's something that's like causes a lot of people panic.
Yeah.
So I can see that, and John, you pointed out like you wouldn't be able to like get emergency alerts either.
Yes. I was like, maybe this is a little bit of like a doomsday kind of thing where like if you're really thinking the end is near, like, and you don't get that alert on your phone, like it's all over.
Yeah, that's scary. What do you think, Leslie?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, well, I think that one's really connected to control.
Yeah, for sure.
Just not having everything at your fingertips that you normally do. And it literally could even just be like, because I can't play my game. I can't do this. Like, just so many things. But I definitely don't have that one because I left my phone before I went to Disney. Like, I left it at a friend's house. I don't know how I made it all the way to the airport.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
But this is like how little I cared that I had a phone on me at the time. And then we got to the airport and I was like, shit. But like, it was too late. I couldn't do anything. So I went to Disney for an entire week without my cell phone and just didn't care.
Was it
I
liberating?
did miss. Yeah, it was. It was nice. It was nice.
I feel like I would like that.
Yeah,
my phone feels like an obligation a lot of the time. Less like I like this and need it, and more like if I don't have this, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z, which is expected of me in life.
But guess what happened though?
What?
Oh, no,
This is going to terrify whoever who has this fear.
Oh no, Leslie, what?
Okay, so I went to Disney with John and his phone broke like day 1 or 2. So I had no cell phone and then his phone broke.
So you guys were totally out of connection with any, you couldn't do.
Yeah, it like fell into water and it was like, this was like a decade ago. So like it was like not waterproof at all. We could not fix it.
Wow.
So we had to like spend a whole day going into town, going to like variety. It was wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that person would be very upset if they had that fear.
Suddenly, and that also, I think, if you have no phone and you're with people with no phone, that's like the isolation type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't call for help. All of a sudden, you're stranded.
In Disney.
I'm in Disney World. There's no one here to help me. But it is similar in nowadays to being like stranded somewhere. What if something happens? You can't check on anything. You can't call for help. We're so used and dependent on being connected that way that we don't have like things in place for if we can't contact people.
Right.
So like suddenly that's scary.
Yeah. All right. I'm already smirking because I'm looking at the next one.
Oh no.
All right.
Good luck.
Hippopotamonstrosis quipedaliophobia.
Oh, I think you have it.
Hippopotamus.
Hippopotamus. Great.
It's a fear of long words.
I think Leslie has it now. So
I don't like it.
I think we've given it to her.
That's terrible.
That has to be fake.
No, it's not.
That one's real.
Yeah.
Why did they do that?
I mean, they're sadists, whoever names these phobias.
Correct. Absolutely.
But I think that one is like related to the fear of like feeling stupid. Because either you don't know what it means or you don't know how to say it. And one way or another, you look out of control of your situation and you have no way to remedy that. If you don't know it or you can't read it, you can't make yourself do either one of those things on the spot.
Right.
And then you're embarrassed.
And that's why it's really important to work on your phonics.
Indeed.
Yes.
Good one.
I'm hooked on that.
It worked for me.
How about some ablutophobia?
Ooh.
Fear of blutes?
Yes, the fear of blutes.
I hate a
No,
blute.
the fear of bathing or cleaning oneself.
Ooh.
Oh, this is that thing where you feel like if you're washing off part of yourself, like when you shower, you feel like you're losing a piece of yourself. It's like you weren't here for this, but I've talked to you about this topic before. Like when kids are afraid to have bowel movements because they're afraid to like let part of themselves go. I feel like it's a similar thing. And the fear of bathing is closely tied to a lot of like well-documented mental illnesses. I think
that makes sense.
It's well documented to like psychotic disorders. That's the fear that they develop is like, I can't bathe, I can't wash it off, or I can't, whatever it is. That's that one. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Especially if you have a disorder that makes you feel totally out of control anyway.
Right.
You want to hang on to any little anchor you possibly can have. And if bathing is one of them, you're like, well, at least I'm in control of this.
So they must like hate detoxes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if they can't sweat either, like anything like that, where they're like,
I guess,
or
that's
if that's
possible.
more just specific.
Your sweat is staying on you, though.
Yeah,
I know, but it's coming off and out too.
Well, that would probably go along with the fear of like elimination, like people who are afraid of going like to the bathroom and stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder if it also has a little bit of like a fear of water trickled in there.
Sure,
just,
I'm sure.
Yeah. Being afraid of getting water on you or something. I'm not sure.
That would suck.
It really would.
Yeah.
I love a bath.
Me too.
Me too. I also just like love being out in the rain.
Yes, yes.
So,
I know. I love some water
I know.
myself.
Take Bowie out in the rain all the time.
Aww.
Feel them drops, girl.
You can't go in the pool. Oh my God.
Goodness. Or the ocean.
Oh, summer sucks.
This is a terrible time for people who are afraid of blutes.
Afraid of blutes.
Oh my goodness. All right. What about genophobia? Genuphobia. The fear of knees.
So that would be, genuphobia, like genuflecting. Genuflecting is getting down on your knees. So it's a very similar thing.
There we go.
Yeah. We looked this one up.
We did look this one up.
And it's, the fear is not of like, this knee makes me uncomfortable because I don't like a knee. It's you're afraid of like injuries or witnessing a knee injury. You're afraid of like a tendon snapping or like dislocating your kneecap. You're afraid of that happening to you or seeing it happen to somebody else. Usually it's caused by seeing it in like a movie or like sometimes in real life, but usually it's a movie that traumatizes a kid. Yeah. I said, for me personally, my version of that would be like your Achilles tendon.
Which I agree with so much more.
That one's hard,
But the fear is almost always manifested in like a fear of knee injury, not just like, look at that bony knee. But some people are just disgusted.
Your knees.
So unsightly.
I can't see anyone in shorts.
Some people.
Summer sucks for them too.
Oh, summer sucks for everyone, apparently. But for some people in like the less, I guess, logical category, it is just knees. They're like repulsed. And you're right though, because that one occurs in people that went to like very strict schools.
Yep.
Wherein you couldn't see your knee. So seeing a knee makes them like, oh God, I'm going to get in trouble. They're all in trouble. Oh my God.
A little hot and heavy right now. Yeah. There's a knee.
Oh, goodness. What about a shoulder?
Oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Get out. But it does make some people nervous. Like they're going to catch us all. Then we're in trouble for our knees.
And then maybe some somnophobia. That one's an easy one.
Sleep?
Fear of sleep.
Well, that's also like control. Some people see it as like dying. They feel like falling asleep is like similar to dying and they're afraid they're never going to wake up or they don't know what's going to happen. It's common in little kids and the elderly. And some people that have any kind of like dementia because you don't have any permanence. And so you're afraid like, well, this is gone forever when I go to sleep.
I wouldn't mind that. I'd just be like, oh, okay. I'm going to die. Let it be in my sleep.
I mean, that's like the best way. But like thinking it's going to happen every night is where it becomes scary.
Slightly problematic. Yeah. A little scary. Yeah.
You're like, every time it's possible.
Yeah.
So
I guess the thing is that I don't have a full fear of not having control. Like, because when I think about that, I'm like, oh, like I'm not in control of that. So,
there's like certain things that you could be like, oh yeah, whatever, like that's out of my control.
I think the deal with phobias is that how I see them is that like they're the channels in which you fear not having control.
Right.
So
You're
not afraid of that. And rationally it's because you know you're not gonna die every time you fall asleep.
But also,
But there are other situations.
Truly. Sounds like such peace.
I know. The best nap I'd ever take.
You know why? I'll tell you why I don't worry about if that's how I go. Like I would love for that to be the way.
Oh yeah.
But it's because of the Buffy episode where Buffy died and then when they bring her back. Spoiler alert.
Oh no.
But it happens a lot, so you never know which episode.
True.
But they asked her like she's having a hard time like being back, and she was like, because I was like happy. And so even though everybody on Earth was kind of struggling, like they were
Buffy was good.
She was good, but she had this piece of like, I just felt like everybody was fine.
Okay.
And so I was okay. And so that was like, okay, like you go up there and you're just like, you're like, okay, everybody's good. Like you don't have to worry about life on Earth.
Sure.
You know?
Okay.
So that's why I think about that. And I'm like, okay, like no matter what, I would just be like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Well, that's good because I like that Leslie's talking about how good she is with most of these because in a little bit, she's going to be really, really ungood for a while. So I'm glad these are not bothering you.
Okay. What about, oh God, I have a fear of long words. So here we go. Anatidaphobia?
What's that one?
The fear of being watched by a duck.
So.
We looked this one up too.
Unfortunately, it's fake.
Oh, right.
But
I did hear you guys talk about that one.
The projected fear is not that, like, if one looks at you, you're scared. It's that at all times there is somewhere a waterfowl watching you.
Right.
And I love that it does encompass all waterfowl.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be just a duck.
I'm pretty sure it's all of them. But you're like, if I open this window, they will be staring at me. It doesn't matter.
With binoculars, like, I'm watching you.
But here's the thing. That's how I feel about snakes. So this time of year, because I don't do well with summer because of this.
I know.
This time of year, I'm assuming the minute I open that door, they will all just be like, hello.
I just want to be your friend.
They're listening. They're listening outside the door right now. Like
every time I open the door, I take a second, I do a scan. And then I find the clear path and I go.
Yeah.
Because you're trying.
All of it. There's usually just all clear path.
Right.
Yeah. That's because you're trying to control your situation.
Yeah.
I mean, you walked into the studio today.
Oh my God. I got out of my car and I saw a little hole in the ground and I saw little two beady eyes come out and then back in. And I was like realistic. I knew I was it's probably a mole, but I was like, it could be a snake. And then I stood in the middle of the street, jumping
Leslie.
and shaking my hands, trying to decide how I was going to get into Holly's studio.
So I'm going to make you feel better because I just remembered we also have chipmunks.
Yeah.
And chipmunks do tunnel. They live underground.
Yeah.
So most of our tunnels are
at
actually
my
chipmunks.
house, but I just see a small hole and I'm like, ugh.
It's fake. Yeah.
They're all living below, which they do.
The only reason I won't put any kind of extermination out there is because I think that they're chipmunks and I like chipmunks.
Yeah.
Other things can go fly a kite, but I like a chipmunk.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
All right.
The next one is papyrophobia.
Paper, right?
Paper, yeah.
Or papayas. They're gross.
After our discussion earlier, possibly papayas.
Yeah,
But paper, yeah. Like the fear of, I guess, touching paper or being cut by paper.
Sometimes it feels gross.
It does, if your hands are exceedingly dry and then you touch a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you run your hand over it, that zip feeling.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's old books. If you're in an antique store, it just sucks all of the moisture out of your hands.
Oh, God. Now I'm just reminding on the chalkboard.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't like that. That's gross. I get it. Oh, man.
All right. And then chorophobia.
The fear of Coraline.
Yeah. The fear of dancing.
Oh, no. Maybe you're just afraid.
We would not live.
We would not.
No.
I think that we looked this one up.
Be dead.
We would.
All right. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye. Wow. Theme music.
Yeah, I think this one we looked up to, and it is also an injury thing. You're afraid of tripping and falling. A lot of it is I'm going to slip or I'm going to trip over something and I'm going to hurt myself or my ankle's going to give out. That's why they're afraid of dancing. Or maybe you're afraid of making a big fool of yourself. I don't know.
Sure.
That's me.
Sure.
But I still dance.
Don't let them stop you.
Never.
Don't let anyone stop you.
Wild.
Yeah.
And then the last one I have is coiffophobia. That's the fear of hairdressers.
Coiffophobia.
Coiffophobia.
I love that one.
Yeah, we talked about this one too. And it was, I think we kind of thought it's similar to letting go of part of you. A lot of times when you're at a hairdresser, they're cutting your hair. People don't like that. Or perhaps you were traumatized at the hairdresser because you aren't really in control of your situation.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard this part or not, Leslie, but when I was little, in the 80s when you needed to have very crispy curly hair, my mom would curl my hair with a pencil thin, lava hot curling iron.
Right.
And she burnt my ear at one point. Not her fault. She didn't see it. But I still have a dent in one of my ears.
Oh my God.
Mom, it's okay. She's a listener, so she's going to be mortified. But like, this was so common back then. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
I know so many people that have like forehead scars from it. And like, it was very, thank God we got over the curly bang.
Yeah.
But I'm not afraid of them. But I guess you could be.
Oh, for sure.
If you had a worse situation than I did.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, those are some fears for sure.
They sure are.
I think we can stop there. I know what's coming.
Oh, poor Leslie. All right. So those, when you think about it, a lot of it can make sense, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But on the jump, they really look kind of insane. And there are some fears out there that are more of an existential crisis, I have discovered. And everyone who has the very specific fear of the vastness of space, like our friend John right here, and I don't love it either. You guys, we might need to sort some stuff out. This phenomenon has its own name. It's not a phobia. It's called, are you ready?
No.
Cosmic vertigo.
Oh.
It's so good.
It is good, but I hate it.
Yeah. Makes you dizzy. Don't worry. There are like a billion things named after it. It's an awesome name and it's not being wasted. I don't know if there's a band. There should be. But cosmic vertigo is a term used to describe the feeling of dizziness or shakiness that can arise when thinking about the vast scale of space. It can also refer to the emotions that the universe evokes, which can be soul-searching and stirring. Like, there's not, what else is out there?
I feel so
It's too big.
Right
Yeah, so it's like a thing. Some scholars have also coined the term cosmic insignificance to describe the feeling of being small in a limitless universe. So you're not so much scared as you are having an existential crisis. And kind of dizzy. So there you go.
Yeah. Specifically dizzy is what I get dizzy.
That's why it's vertigo. That's why they call it cosmic vertigo. Because a lot of people get that. They see like the vast, limitless space. A lot of times it's in a film or something like that. And like, they're like, oh, can't stand up.
Nope.
I need a minute. Yeah. So it is a thing.
Yeah.
And it's not astrophobia. So astrophobia is the fear of space, but it's very rooted in aliens too. That's like my issue.
Right.
But this is a very specific phenomenon. So, and when you mentioned this in our Facebook group, there were a lot of people that were like, oh my God, me too.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys are also having like a little tiny existential crisis when you watch space movies, which that's fine, you know?
Me in a planetarium?
No good.
No, like the IMAX ones?
Oh, I can't do IMAX because of motion sickness, but
fair,
you know.
Fair.
I love that. That's
like
so
a regular
sad.
planetarium, fine. Put me in that IMAX theater where you're like, it zooms you out into space. And I'm like, no.
Dizzy.
I grip my chair.
Cosmic vertigo. Can't do it.
I love that there's a name for that.
You need like a fall bracelet for it.
Maybe
we should sell those. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Trademark bracelets that say cosmic vertigo. Perfect. Yes. So, John, while you get a pass on the space thing, because there are very few like weaponized space stories too. I can't really.
Very few are there.
We're a civil space place. I mean, I could make you nervous with stories about like people that went up and never came back. Yeah, I hate that too. No. Or like, you know, early missions or things like the Challenger. Yeah. But like there's not as much in the world of like spooky true crime stuff.
Yeah.
So while you get a pass on that, we're not going to let you get off that easily.
Oh, great.
Leslie, do you think maybe you could help us out? Do you touch on any of the things that John might be afraid of?
Well, John, do you have taphophobia?
I don't know, do I?
He's afraid to know.
The fear of being buried alive?
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's reported to be among the most common phobias, so do not fear.
But I do.
We all do. I don't like this one either. Together. Neither does Leslie, and neither do like most of our listeners.
Yeah. I mean, this one, I'm really not scared of this. When I think about it, it's uncomfortable, but I'm not like...
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah.
Doesn't like erase your heart.
No, like I can watch Kill Bill and Buffy.
And I hate it.
Those, and I'm just like, okay. And I watch them and I study them and I learn how to escape my grave.
That like post that went around a while ago where like, if you're buried alive, put your shirt over your head and start to do that. Like it tells you what to do. I couldn't look at it. I was like, what?
No.
Yep. All right. So throughout the centuries, humans have been buried alive accidentally and intentionally. People are like, do it to me intentionally. It'll be great.
Oh,
True.
no.
There's a whole, we don't have time for it today, but we can talk about it at some point. But there's a whole performance art of Buried Alive.
Oh,
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you'll be buried alive for like 15 to 30 minutes, sometimes 90 minutes. Sometimes people will do it as like an actual, like Buried Alive performance is where like you can go yourself as just a normal person and like have the experience of being in like a wooden coffin
Oh, my
and
God.
just like being there.
Like if
They
you did that to me, just leave me there and bury it. Like,
Yeah.
that's it.
No, like you would, yeah.
I passed.
I would have such an immediate panic attack that they would like, it would just be screaming. I can't have
Yeah.
MRIs without being sedated either.
So the person that from what I remember, this guy has a wild name. It's Johannes Gresfurner because it's definitely German and like
Yeah, long words.
it would be a German man that did this. But
I wish you could feel my like pulse right now. It's
Yeah.
through the roof. Next year we're wearing heart monitors.
But
Oh
he
my
did
God.
this. He did this as like for him, he was trying to what's that called? Like immersion therapy.
For like
Yeah,
obsessive
for-
compulsive issues.
Yeah, like for himself, and then it's like he does this now with other people, and he goes all over the place. There is like some problematic things to it, I guess. I didn't go too much into that. Like I just saw
Yeah.
that they said that one of the performances that they did was like they had it for couples, like you can go in as like a couple to do it, and then they had it like videoed, and the couple definitely was having sex on
Of course
screen.
they were.
And so that
6
was like
feet under?
I know.
Oh.
Of course they
That
were.
was literally my first thought. I was just like, that's what's going to happen. And then like the next sentence was, and there was a problematic event that happened.
Yeah,
But they
that's
just kept filming it.
that's people who are like, I like dead people.
No, it wasn't even that. It was just having like private space down there.
There are so
Okay.
many places
Yeah.
to have private space.
That
I
are
know.
not
And you're like, a casket underground. We love
underground.
this.
No,
Well, but I
thank
was
you.
thinking, because when they were talking about that, I was like, oh, I would like go, like, I would, if I had to, like, if it was one of those things like, Leslie, we dare you to do this, blah, blah, blah. And if I could like do it with John just to like lay in like a coffin with him and just snug for 30 minutes, that'd be great. But also I just had a baby. So like any privacy would be wonderful.
Fair.
I will take it.
My husband would be covered in vomit because I would just be like, I can't. It would be the worst.
So that is like intentional burials. There's also like, obviously there's like executions that have happened where they'll have like women or men, like that's part of their, like whatever crime that they found, they would bury them alive. So there's been a lot of people that have died that way. And then there are just some like random cases of accidental burials that are just
there's way
really
too many.
Yeah. There's not, so what I did find is there's not as many as I think we're made to believe.
Okay.
Is what a lot of people think. But there still are a good amount. Also, did you know that George Washington was taphophobic?
No.
So he, on December 14th,
Not the general.
1799, as George Washington lay in his final moments on his deathbed, he told his secretary, Tobias Lear, I love the name Tobias,
Good one.
what were likely his last words. Tobias recalled later. About 10 o'clock, he made several attempts to speak to me before he could effect it. At length he said, I am just going. Have me decently buried, and do not let my body be put into the vault in less than 3 days after I am dead. I bowed assent, for I could not speak. He then looked at me again and said, Do you understand me? I replied, Yes. 'Tis well, he said. And then I guess died. I don't know.
George Washington, we'll do this on another episode or in a social media post or something, but he died in the most protracted, horrific manner you possibly can die.
Oh.
Because they tried to treat him for a really long time for his things, but it just slowly like poisoned and gave him sepsis and stuff. So he died very slowly.
Yikes.
They were like, maybe we can do a transplant of things. It was like medieval medicine. It was awful.
Oh, no.
Yeah, George Washington did not die peacefully. So.
Which is probably why he was like, I might look dead.
Yep. Oh, for sure. And he definitely did. He was not like he was foreseeing his own protracted death, which did happen.
Yeah.
So like,
wow.
Oof.
Yeah, it's not good. It's really bad.
All right. Well, here are some other stories of people being buried alive. All right. This one's like an older one, and there might be some like, it might be it's definitely true, but also there might be like a part legend to it. Okay. So this is Marjorie McCall. So, known as the woman who lived once but was buried twice, Marjorie McCall resided in the Irish town of Lurgane, County Armagh, maybe, in the 17th century.
How have we gotten away from doing this at St. Patrick's Day?
I don't know.
Surprising.
McCall apparently suffered a fever in 1695 and was soon pronounced dead. On the day of her burial, her body was dressed up and interred at Shankill Graveyard. One night, her coffin was visited by grave robbers who dug her up to steal her valuable jewelry. So what I do know from looking the story up before, they were a wealthy family, and there were a lot of people getting sick around this time, because this is the reason that this is a fear, is because people would, there were tons of illnesses happening, especially like cholera and like other things where like they would just get really sick and their pulse would be so low and they would look like they were dead, and they would get buried and then they wouldn't really be dead, or they'd be like put on that cart like, bring out your dead, and then they would find them like suffocating underneath bodies.
We also knew so
like,
little.
I'm alive.
Oh, that happened. Well, there's tons of plague cases where that happened. But we also knew such few things about like contagion that if you died of a disease, they were like, get him out now. Like they were not checking. They were just getting you out.
So specifically, the husband in this case was like, I know this is spreading really fast, so let's just get her out immediately. And they don't embalm bodies. So at this point, so they just had to get them underground immediately. So, but this was a wealthy family, and so grave robbers knew immediately. So they were like, we're going to attack fast before anybody else gets there. So while they were digging up her body, Marjorie suddenly awoke, scaring off her would-be robbers, and she made her way out of the grave and walked back home, where upon seeing her husband collapsed out of shock. And then McCall reportedly lived to have another child before passing on later in life.
Can you imagine being any of those people? Any of them? Anybody involved? Can you imagine being any single person in that situation?
No.
No, what?
Right?
She walked home and then had it more life?
Walked herself home out of the grave like a zombie.
She said, what a great nap. It's time to go home, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, hell no.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really famous one, too.
Yeah,
I love that.
All right. So Joseph Guzzi, a 76-year-old beekeeper from Katowice, Poland, while at work, Guzzi was stung by a bee and suffered a heart attack as a result. He was later pronounced dead by a doctor. Guzzi was taken to a mortuary afterwards and placed in a coffin to be buried. Things may have gone terribly awry if his wife didn't make a last-minute request to retrieve some jewelry that he was wearing. Upon reaching into his coffin, the funeral director detected a pulse, and then Guzzi was taken out and rushed to the ICU.
Yeah, he was in a drawer. That happened on more than one occasion. There is an episode, I think, of This Is Actually Happening that is a first-person account of somebody who woke up zipped up in a body bag.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
So crazy.
Rough.
Right, I don't think I could be in like a morgue cell. I don't think I could do that.
In a drawer? No, thank you.
No.
Natalia Pasternak. Okay, so it's one thing to get through being buried alive, but to have to survive, oh, sorry, ladies, a bear attack on top of that is nothing short of a miracle.
But she survived.
She sure did.
Okay, so Natalia Pasternak, a Russian post office worker, because only in Russia.
Oh, man, I know, right?
She had gone into the woods with her friend to collect a birch sap. See, this is the problem. She was with a friend. If she was alone, it would have been fine.
Yeah, I know. The bear would have been like,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So while there, the, well, and I think it's funny that they're like, just because they're Russian, they're going to the woods to get birch sap. Like, they're just making some birch beer. Yeah. They're just badasses over there. All right. So while there, the ladies were ambushed by a bear who attacked Pasternak, leaving her in terrible condition. The bear then buried her underneath some foliage, apparently saving her for his next meal. And then Pasternak's friend was able to contact authorities, who returned to the scene and put the creature down. And then they actually like saw that she was still alive, and but she was just like stuck under all this.
Oh.
you imagine just being like mauled to death and like just
I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet.
Leftovers for a bear.
Plot twist. It was Cocaine Bear.
But she,
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
We will do Cocaine Bear for you in one of our like half-hour episodes because it's a fun story.
I know I didn't. I do know the story, but I didn't watch the movie. So
I haven't seen the movie
Oh,
yet
the
either.
movie is incredible.
Yeah.
I really want to see it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll like do a 30-minute on that one too.
Oh, you definitely should.
The
All
real
right.
story is bananas.
It is bananas. All right. So this is one of the more famous cases, but Anglo Hayes. He's from France. So in 1937, Hayes was riding his motorcycle when he got into a terrible accident that left him with a severe head injuries. He was pronounced dead a few days later and promptly buried. So this also happens a lot. People will go into a coma either from sickness or from an injury, and they'll like go so deep that you can't feel a pulse. Like they look like death. However, as his father had taken out a sizable life insurance policy on him, a claims adjuster was sent to investigate the cause of death. Which this is the part of the story I think is so funny because it's just like he did die and his dad just took out the life insurance policy. But now like somebody has to come and like look it up. But his dad like was not doing anything weird. He was just like, my son died and he has this. So then 2 days later or 2 days after the burial, Hayes' body was exhumed. 2 days later.
No.
His body was exhumed and he was discovered to still be alive. He eventually made a full recovery and gained some popularity in France after inventing his own electric coffin. So then he like went around and showcased this coffin as like, this will never happen to me again. Like,
okay,
holy shit.
Good for you. But also, what?
2 days he lived in that coffin.
That is
not knowing if he was ever going to get exhumed or not.
Now, I would think that he was still kind of in a coma. But I think that he did come out a bit like near the end. But he was in a coma for some of that still.
Holy shit.
No.
Yeah. Wow.
No. See, this is what I want to be buried. I want to be buried like underneath the roots of a tree so I could like feed the tree and become the tree and then steal people's wigs. But
steal people's wigs. What a specific thing you want to do. It's fair enough.
But also please put a little bell on my finger. Please.
Yeah.
Because
safety coffins were a thing.
Yeah. And I would like to bring those back. Thank you so
there you
much.
go.
Although modern medicine does not usually put people in the ground before.
No, they have a lot more things that they do. Plus like the what is it? Like the embalming methods that usually will stop people, but there's a whole bunch
to be embalmed, which everybody doesn't anymore.
That's true. So there's that. They do like they like check for like nerves around the feet. They do a lot of things that are very like that would be very uncomfortable. And like even one of them is like cutting you open, like other things like if they're just like they need to check. So anything that would wake you up, like
if you're bleeding, you're alive.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right, so I have 2 other ones, and these are pretty more recent. So,
oh no,
God, as we're like, we're safe now, and Leslie's like, no, you're not.
Mourners at the wake of an Ecuadorian woman were startled to discover she was still alive.
No.
A hospital doctor in the city of Babahoyo declared Bella Montoya, 76, dead following a suspected stroke. She was placed in a coffin and taken to the funeral parlor where relatives held a vigil before her planned burial. When, after almost 5 hours, they opened the coffin to change her clothes ahead of the funeral, the woman gasped for air.
Like that?
Yeah.
No, that was organic. Sorry.
Her son Gilbert described the moment he realized his mother was still alive. My mom started to move her left hand to open her eyes, her mouth. She struggled to breathe. Video taken by a mourner shows her lying in an open coffin, struggling to breathe, while another complains that an ambulance they called has not yet arrived.
There is video?
Minutes later, actually, I think I can play the video. Minutes later, firefighters arrived and lift Bella Montoya onto a stretcher and take her back to the hospital where she had been declared dead.
Oh my God.
It would be like another hospital. Her son told Ecuadorian media that she was in intensive care but was responsive. My mom is on oxygen. Her heart is stable. The doctor pinched her hand and she reacted. They tell me that's good because it means that she's reacting little by little. But let's see.
I'm looking at pictures.
No.
But soon after, like, it was like 9 a.m. in the hospital. Like by noon, the doctor said like she died. So she died again. So he had another death certificate that had to be issued.
The way I would have looked at that doctor in the eye, like, prove it.
Yeah.
Prove it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'd be like, you got to cut her head off now. That's the only way.
Put a stake in
I'm
her,
so
like,
sorry.
I
I'm
don't
not.
care what it is.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God.
Okay. So then the last one. Ready?
No.
I'm still looking at pictures of this shit. Oh, okay, keep going.
Okay. So on February 24th, 2020, Jorge Torres Jr., a 42-year-old American man, died in Winter Park, Florida, when he climbed inside a suitcase at his home while the couple allegedly played a game of hide and seek.
Oh, this case is horrible.
Torres suffocated to death after his girlfriend, then 42-year-old Sarah Boone, zipped him into the suitcase, allegedly leaving a 1 to 2 finger hole opening, and then passed out upstairs without realizing that he would not be able to get out of the suitcase himself. Following his death, so then he died. He died of suffocation.
Yeah, but
Sarah, the girlfriend, she claimed that they had thought it would be funny to put him in the suitcase and that they were both laughing. She stated that she then went upstairs and accidentally fell asleep, leaving Torres in the suitcase. Torres' death was ruled as a homicide. Boone was not arrested the day that she allegedly found him in the suitcase and called the police. The following day, she was asked to go to the police station for an interview. During the interview, forensic investigators asked for her phone. She willingly gave her phone to them, and it was searched. The search found 2 videos that Boone had taken the night before. However, she did not remember taking the videos, and she also did not try to delete the videos. According to court records, the videos depict Boone saying to Torres, for everything you've done to me, and she zipped him up. Boone was subsequently charged with second-degree murder for killing Torres, held in Orange County Jail. And she's been trying to get out. But yeah, so this is one of those ones where he was in there and suffocated to death.
I've heard audio of this video.
No.
Yeah. He is begging to be let out. Yeah. And she's so drunk. She's like, nope, you don't want to.
Actually leave a hole?
Not that he could get his finger in, no. They looked. There was no, the zipper wasn't working. He couldn't get out. No, she was really severe drunk too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's
that's why she could just pass out upstairs.
Yeah.
Right.
And she wasn't even upstairs for some of it. She was just in a recliner, right there. And then she went up later. But you can hear him be like, babe, this isn't funny. I can't breathe. I got to get out of here. I got to get out. And she's just like, nope, you're not coming out. It's very.
Yeah. And she's been arrested for domestic violence before.
Yeah. She was really, it's not good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was not a good situation.
How does one suffocate in luggage though? What
positionally?
Kind of...
The position, positional asphyxiation. So that was the other. So this one I don't have the case up for because it was actually a case study that I found. So I don't have the full thing, but the the abstract of it was a man, the son came home to find his mom had fallen in the chair. The chair fell over. So she was stuck in between the legs of the chair, propped, bent over, as if she was stretching to touch her toes. And she was stuck in that position for however long and suffocated to death.
Well, so
by being trapped like that.
No.
We have at length explained positional asphyxia before because I know I've looked it up. But that is also the debate in the Kendrick Johnson case.
Gotcha.
The guy that was in the wrestling mat upside down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the one that kept popping up. That
I
might
just
be
forget
what
that
happened.
exists.
It's ongoing
I just think,
too.
How? Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's always the big one for babies. Ugh.
Positional asphyxia. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's where it's a blood flow thing, and then your lungs get there's a whole reason why it happens. It's swelling and stuff. And I wish I could remember the episode where I lay out the whole process because I have done it, but I don't remember which one it was.
Oh, yikes.
I'm gonna try and see if I can find for later if anybody wants it. There is a podcast I listened to that covered the suitcase murder. It might have been Red-Handed pretty extensively. And it's it's a tough listen.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah, so obviously all those weren't necessarily buried alive, but I was like going for like the
Just about.
trapment, you know, like
Close
that.
enough, man.
Oof. Being like
Oh, I
stuck
can't
in
wait to
something.
dream about this tonight.
I know.
Ugh.
There were other ones. There were so many, but like so some of them were another, and again, they don't have names of all of these because a lot of them are older cases, but another one was like opening the coffin to finding like a young girl had like her knees propped up underneath her and her the shrouds of her clothes were ripped off. Another one was this other guy. I think the family was not they were just like, I don't know, like we just need to check this grave. And they found like him, he had ripped out his hair and there was claw marks all
I
in
know
it.
that one specifically.
It's like the broken fingernails and like the claw marks that make me, oh my God, I hate it. I hate it so much.
So there's also an episode of Lore on Being Buried Alive where they pretty extensively go into the history of people being mistaken as dead.
Yes.
So if it's a topic that you're interested in, I can recommend that episode. It's very good and chilling.
There's a book too, Buried Alive, I think is the name of the book. Yeah.
There's also that one series that Guillermo del Toro did.
Yes.
The episode with
the rats?
Yes.
Yes.
I had to pause that 1,500 times watching that because I couldn't breathe.
You know that there's like a man in a costume in that episode. 100%. It's all practical.
It's all practical. So like, I love that. As a special effects artist, you live your life. But also, no, thank you so much.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Okay, yeah. So now that you've made us deeply uncomfortable, maybe we should turn the tables on you a little bit.
No.
So first, I think I have a small offering, and then John has one that's a little bit bigger. Why don't we talk about some spooky kids?
No.
Yeah, we're gonna. So this is just these are some highlights from a BuzzFeed list on children who have seen ghosts.
Oh boy.
So it's not specifically child ghosts, but these are pretty haunting. There's 20 some of them. I only have 5, don't worry. One mother says, not long ago, I was putting my 3-year-old to bed when he looked over my shoulder and asked, Mom, who were they?
Oh, yuck.
I looked, and of course, no one was there. But then my son said, go away. This is my house, before falling asleep.
Oh, God damn.
How is the kid like, I told you, good night. Just went to sleep.
I said good day.
Meanwhile, the parent never slept again.
No,
never.
Another parent said, quote, when I was a kid, we had a rocking chair in our house. Leslie hates rocking chairs. And there was always an old lady sitting in it. I would talk to her for hours at a time, and my mother never said a thing about it until a few years ago when we were talking about memories from our old house. I told her I missed the old lady who lived with us, and she responded that there was no old lady.
Oh.
So I grabbed a photo album to show her who I was talking about, and she smiled and said, that's your dad's grandmother. See, it's a nice one. She invoked the Nana. So she really wanted to meet you, but died before you were born. I freaked out and told her I was pretty sure I'd talked to her in the rocking chair. My mom replied, we didn't have a rocking chair.
No.
But she did.
Just rocking chair.
I know, plot twist, rocking chair.
Yuck.
That's the part that got me was we didn't have a rocking chair.
That's wild.
Oh, no. Another account said, we live in a home in which a 103-year-old man died, and my 3-year-old daughter is constantly talking into the mirrors around the house.
No.
When I ask who she's talking to, she answers, the neighbor.
No.
Which leads me to a brief interim about why we are afraid of mirrors. Leslie hates this really bad, too. Mirrors are like a common one.
We don't need to talk about this again.
The reason, I will only do it quickly, the reason a lot of, especially dark mirrors, a lot of people are afraid of dark mirrors and why dark mirror games like Bloody Mary exist is because when you look at your own reflection in very dim light, your brain fills in the gaps. So you can only see certain parts of your face. And apparently our own brains are like, monsters.
Right.
So if you say, you see a monster looking back at you, you do. You are seeing that. That's the dots your brain has connected. You've done that to you. So that's why we don't like mirrors and why we frequently think they're ghosts and why in some religions and, more common practice in like past culture, it was common to cover mirrors when people died.
Right.
Because you're in a dark house, you look by a mirror and you're like, definitely the ghost. So, yeah.
I hate it.
I know. Who likes it? Let's do another one. One day I overheard my daughter, who was alone in the playroom, say to someone, okay, I'll draw you, but I need to find the red. You have blood in your hair.
Oh, this would be your daughter.
It would be my daughter.
That's fun. Love that one.
Yeah, that's good. How about this one? When my nephew was about 4 years old, I gave him a bath one night. He would only let me lather him with soap if I let him hold the detachable shower head. So I did. However, every few seconds, he'd spray water over my left shoulder. I told him to stop because he was getting the floor wet. Well, he didn't listen to me, and finally, I snatched the shower head out of his hands. He made a sad face and said, Auntie, don't be mad. I was just keeping the man away from you. Then he pointed behind me, and there was no one there.
I hate it. But also, why Auntie? So
it's her nephew.
Yeah, her nephew.
Yeah. And there's 23 of these. This is the BuzzFeed list. I'll link it somewhere so you guys can read them all if you want.
Yes.
They are wild.
No, thank you.
So, yeah, those are some kid ghosts.
Oh.
So I have to ask. I have changed my opinion now. We always say kid ghosts are the worst. I think I would amend that to kids who see ghosts.
Kids who, yeah.
That is worse than a child ghost. I think a kid seeing a ghost is scarier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what scares me the most.
Yeah.
And that's and it's always the little girls.
Right.
And that's why I'm terrified of my daughter. And what is to become.
Haunting little girls in their white nightgowns pointing into the corner.
Mother, who is this? Who is who? Who is who?
Who are they?
I see the TikToks like that all the time, and the parent is always just like, no. And then just like picks their child up and takes them away. They're like, we're not even going to broach this.
We don't live here anymore.
Don't live here. This is not our house.
No one's actually
doing this.
Babadooking the situation. We would all immediately leave. I don't know why.
Babadooking.
No. What an icon.
Truly.
He is.
That feels like a hardcore dance move.
Gotta wear your goth outfit and your top hat.
Into the mosh pit to Babadook.
Yeah.
Lord. I'm just Babadooking over here.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't get through that movie because for a lot of reasons, but my brain was like, what are you doing? Why didn't you just go away? Why? Right. What is happening? You have like little child that's like, I can get ghosts. It's a scary thing. And you're like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Probably give him some more sedatives. That'll do it.
That'll do it.
That would be, I never watched it, but I probably would turn it off immediately and be
I couldn't get through it.
I don't know. There were some parts that like people were like very chilled over and I was like cackling.
Yeah.
But it's only, I don't know. Horror movies don't really get me usually.
Yeah.
I was upset on behalf of the child.
Yes.
Because for a lot of reasons.
There's so many memeable moments from the movie that have destroyed me since. I think they're also
And it's an allegory for grief.
Yes.
If you're watching it. But it's not, I'm looking at that mom the whole time being like, what are you doing?
True.
So angry. Anyway. So that's kids who see ghosts. So we've now we've like fixed that fear. Yeah. We've made it worse. Really.
I have a new fear now.
You're welcome. New fear unlocked. Another common fear, and I'm falling on my sword with this one to prove a point, because I have a visceral reaction to this one, is trypophobia, which is, as I mentioned before, the fear of like a group or series of small holes, very close together. And I'm like gagging already. And I wish I could tell you I was being over dramatic about this, but it seriously gives me like physical repulsion. Like it's hard for me to talk about. So some things that can trigger this fear or repulsion are lotus seed pods, octopus tentacles, vines that will like suction onto like a fence, rashes or pox, thought fly holes. Oh my God. That's like things coming out of your skin. Like your
those are
pores
horrifying.
and it's the... Don't watch a show called Monsters Inside Me if you don't want your whole life to be ruined. Anyway, also shower heads, drains, and tubs. I'm fine with those things. Clothes dryers with patterned holes. And I was discussing this with John before. What also gives me this, it doesn't have to be a hole. Sometimes it's like a bump. So like if you've ever gotten ferns in a floral arrangement and they go to like spore and the bottom of the fern has all those tiny little brown
so weird looking
things on it. It makes me like immediately repulsed. I have to throw them out right away and I like can't touch them. I have a really hard time with that. It reminds me of bug eggs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you ever seen like bug eggs on a leaf?
Yeah.
Like that looks just like that.
Okay.
But it's not.
And that makes me so ill. I can't even talk about it. Like if I find a leaf that has a bug has laid eggs on, I'm like, like I can't. I can't like it. It's so much for me. I can't do it.
What about an English muffin?
No, I'm okay with an English muffin.
Who's not okay with an English muffin?
We have a fiend that is not.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think of her every time I eat an English muffin.
Oh my God.
Eat or see one, I'm always like, oh,
that's
poor
so
Sarah.
that's so sad.
Yeah.
Some people don't like honeycombs either.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love a honeycomb.
Or like a bee's nest or something.
Yeah, if you see like a wasp nest on the inside where it's all the little.
I literally just went to the cereal honeycomb. I love
I
honeycomb.
know, me
Leslie.
too.
No, snack cup of honeycombs.
Oof, yeah, I don't like that one either. I don't mind like if you have like a bee, if like you're a beekeeper and you have like a bee box of that doesn't bother me. Neither does like the clear display at like the science center.
Strawberries.
But I'm fine with strawberries. I'm sure some people don't like them.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably not.
But I don't like a mud wasp nest. If that gets opened up and you see all the little holes, that makes me grossed out too. But mainly it's like anything that looks like it's like could be your like skin situation or something. It really freaks me out. I hate it. So the exact cause of trypophobia is unknown, but here are some theories. The first is that it is an evolutionary survival response. And I can see this totally because your brain associates these clusters of holes with dangerous things like the eyes of a spider or a snake or skin diseases or the boring holes of a parasite. It can also be a brain processing thing because this is a lot for your system to upload, basically. So it uses more energy and oxygen in your brain to process this holy pattern, which makes you panic. You're like, I don't know what's going on. Panic. And it's also a symptom of obsessive compulsive disorder, which I do have. So there you go. That might be it for me. I don't know. But I don't fully understand how that is connected because I'm like, is it like a symmetry thing? They're perfectly symmetrical. We should be very calm, but we're not. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so that's fun. Makes me so sick. And remember those points because we're going to come back around to all of them. But in keeping with my theme that everything is kind of tied together when it comes to our fears, something that repulses me is also linked to the thing that deeply unsettles Leslie the most, which is snakes. Because little holes,
little eyes,
little pores, little eggs,
little scales,
little holes in the ground, like you just said you were afraid of. Similar thing. There you go. But I don't have a snake story. What to do?
I don't know.
Do you think, John, you could?
Oh, maybe.
Help
Let me
me
just check my. Oh, would you look at that?
All right, then.
Would you look at it?
Well, John, why don't you help us out?
Sure.
You don't need to. Why did we invite him?
You were so for it.
So you were going to try to get Holly.
But
I got myself worse than anybody
truly.
could.
And I ran out of alien stories.
Listen, I want to speak to this about Holly because, listen, I have been trying to figure out what scares her, and I have done all the alien stories I possibly can.
And I was deeply uncomfortable.
And I have tried to do burial ones before. I even wrote a story trying to get her, and so this is all I was told. These were the things that scared her the most. She chose to hide this one from me.
Yeah.
I would have happily taken that and gone with it and gone deep into it. Well, deep into those holes. And pulled out little things.
Oh, God,
just
Leslie.
maybe squeezed out a story.
No.
So entertaining.
So here's why I didn't mention it. And this is truthful. I didn't think it was a fear because it's a repulsion. I'm not as much afraid of it as I am so disgusted by it.
Yeah.
That I feel like I'm gonna be sick.
But that reaction is my reaction to snakes.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't associate it with fear in my brain for some reason. I was like, no, it's disgusting to me.
Yeah, that's what it is to me. It's disgusting. It's repulsive. It's
yeah. When a lot of people said they had this thing with the holes and it was on American Horror Story and all of that stuff.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I
was like, oh, I guess a part of phobia is repulsion. It's not all terror. Some of it is that you're just like disgust and repulsed. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, then I definitely have that one.
Yeah.
So when we first discussed it, I didn't realize that. I knew I was deeply afraid of aliens. And to be fair, I was horrified at everything you brought to the table.
I'm just saying that this could have been another one for me to get you with.
Listen, it's not going away.
You weren't satisfied with the reaction that you got.
It's not going away anytime soon, Leslie. So.
Well, next time we should do like fictional stories as well, because I will write a snake alien story and it will ruin both of you at the same time. And then you could both destroy me somehow. Like, we'll figure it out.
Just gonna float you through space for a really long time.
So we're done, right? We don't need anything else?
And we would be, no.
No. My blood pressure is up. Now it is yours.
Yeah. So, let's go over a little thing about why people are afraid of snakes. Why are you afraid of snakes?
Because they're awful.
Okay. Well, a lot of fear of snake. You should see her face right now. I haven't done anything yet.
Violet used to have a very big pink stuffed snake. It was cartoonish. It was from the zoo. And Leslie could not handle it. Her name was Alice. Alice the snake. Alice. Yes, Alice the snake. And Leslie was like, get it away.
Oh my goodness.
She hated it. Poor Leslie is already crying.
I know. All right.
I can tell you why, but you tell us why.
So quickly, most of the reasons people are afraid of snakes are from evolution. Many people have developed an innate fear of snakes as a survival mechanism. Snakes, particularly venomous ones, posed a significant threat to early humans, and those who instinctively avoided snakes were more likely to survive and pass on through their genes.
That's fair.
So that's like one of the biggest reasons why people are afraid of snakes. Also, the media, movies, just seeing them in person or having like weird experiences with them, which you have had bananas experience with snakes.
I was in the woods on a trail with Leslie once when they just kept falling out of the trees. I'm not kidding. That has not happened to me before or since, only with Leslie once.
Well, you just bring them out because they love you so much.
God.
But today we're going to talk, well, in my mission to terrify Leslie specifically, today
violence. We chose violence. I don't know. Yep.
I'll delve into the sinister case of Glenn Summerford.
Glenn!
A Pentecostal minister who used the most unusual weapon to commit quite the crime.
I
the awful
hate
thing
it.
is that I know all of these.
You do?
It's because I'm so terrified.
Oh my God.
This is one your husband found years ago, too, and I hadn't used.
Oh, really? Well, my little story takes place in Scottsboro, Alabama in 1991. Glenn Summerford was a respected minister at the Church of God with Signs.
With signs?
With signs following.
All right.
And I was like looking through the names of this church. I was like, is this actually the name? And yes, it is.
That's what a nuts name for a church.
The Church of God with Signs following, a small Pentecostal congregation known for practicing snake handling.
Ugh.
This ritual based on a literal interpretation of the Bible, which I'm pretty sure is Mark 16, 17, and 18. But I do not know the Bible by heart. But it involves handling venomous snakes as a test of faith. Glenn Summerford grew up in the rural backwoods of Alabama, a region known for its intense religious beliefs and tight communities. He was a charismatic yet troubled person whose fiery sermons and unshakable beliefs in Pentecostal Christianity made him become a passionate preacher.
Nobody cares about you, Glenn.
Oh, no, Glenn!
Despite his devout public persona, Summerford had a dark side that many in his community found unsettling. Known for his volatile temper and controlling nature, his behavior often contradicted the values he preached.
Such a piece of shit.
Exactly.
Fucking Glenn. God damn it, Glenn.
People in his community were divided in their opinions of him. While some saw him as a dedicated man of God, others perceived him as a dangerous hypocrite.
Yes.
Glenn Summerford met his lovely wife, Darlene, in the rural backwoods of Alabama, where both of them grew up.
Yeah,
Darlene, run!
Great.
Yes, seriously.
Darlene, you in trouble, girl. You gotta go.
Darlene was a kind and devout woman, fitting well into the close-knit community with its strong religious ties.
Leslie is pulling out her eyebrows.
She really is. And in the grand scheme of things, this really isn't that bad, which is the funniest part.
Oh, God.
She shared Glenn's faith in the Pentecostal church and supported his role as a preacher. However, as time passed, Glenn's behavior grew increasingly erratic and abusive, casting a dark shadow over their marriage. The situation reached a terrifying climax when Glenn tried to kill Darlene, thus ending their troubled relationship and shocking their community.
Yeah, that'll end it real quick.
Yeah, Glenn Summerford's life took a dark turn when his wife, Darlene, accused him of a horrific crime. She claimed that Glenn forced her at gunpoint to put her hands inside of a box of rattlesnakes, intending for the snakes to bite and kill her.
I want them to leave her alone. I want them to be like, no, Glenn. No, Glenn.
Just hearing the rattles and the sounds. Yeah. This act, Darlene alleged, was motivated by Glenn's desire to be rid of her so he could pursue another woman.
Yeah, of course.
Glenn, go ahead. I don't need to put my
Be
hands
free,
in the box.
Glenn. Be free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I won't tell anyone. I could just leave right now.
Right. Well, the bites Darlene received were severe.
She
She got multiple bites. Mm-hmm. But Darlene managed to survive, seeking medical attention despite the unusual practice.
Kill me
in their
Fuck yeah,
community.
Darlene.
Yeah. Well, and in their community, they didn't want them to go to a hospital. They wanted them to solely rely on faith healing.
Oh, yeah, because this is like the Christian Science thing,
This
right?
is
Where
what,
they the no medicine at all.
No medicine.
Yeah, there's like so many points in this that I'm terrified of. Pentecostal.
Yeah. I mean, that adds to it.
Snakes.
Pentecostal snakes.
Yeah.
The worst of all of them.
In Alabama.
Yeah, that's
Facts.
it's also scary.
But yeah, her survival led to the police investigation, and Glenn Summerford was arrested and charged with attempted murder. His trial fuck Glenn. His trial attracted widespread media attention, not only for the bizarre method of the crime, but also because it brought to light the controversial practice of snake handling in faith healing religions. The prosecution presented compelling evidence, including Darlene's testimony and her injuries, which was consistent with multiple rattlesnake bites.
It's Darlene going, look at my snake
Look
bites.
at me. Yeah.
I was there.
Exactly.
They don't give a fuck.
No, they don't. But in 1992, Glenn Summerford was convicted of attempted murder and sentenced to 99 years in prison.
Fuck you, Glenn.
He remains incarcerated, claiming that his actions were misunderstood and that he was targeted because of his religious practices.
Sure it was, Glenn. Sure.
Yeah. And that's fine.
And that is my little case.
Oh my God.
So
bitten by
I
snakes.
can't put at any of those things. It's always at a nature thing. We have one at the Cape May, like the nature path, whatever.
Yeah.
But they always have that thing like, put your hand in this dark hole and tell us what you feel. And I'm like, every time it's just going to be a live snake in there. Every time. And like, it never is.
No.
But it might be.
Could
or
be.
like the skin, because they're just like, what do you feel? Is that like snake scales? And I'm like, why would they do this to children? Why would you fucking do this to children? Absolutely not. I'm not sticking my hand in a dark.
God damn it, Glenn.
Yeah.
Also, this is just terrible. It could be a dick. Get the fuck out of here.
You never know.
It could be a dick.
The scariest of all snakes.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
Oh, no. There is another case where the faith healer dies.
Oh, really?
Where it's someone who handles
that's
them.
what I thought it was going to be.
I did too. I thought it was that one where it's like the guy that does it and he ends up being bitten by his own snakes and
he
kills
deserves
him.
that.
Deserves him. Like I said, in my mind, that in the case you just told, the snakes don't bite Darlene. They're like, no, Glenn.
No, we're good.
We're coming for you, Glenn. And then they kill him. If
I
wrote the story, that's what would happen.
Yeah.
Darlene would be fine.
Right. There was another story that I realized was embellished upon very much, so I couldn't tell if it was true or not.
Okay.
But basically, this guy would like unleash a snake on the women he would capture, and it would basically choke them to death.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would leave a snake skin on them as like his mark. And then he did this like 4 or 5 women allegedly. But the person was real, but he only killed one person with a rattlesnake. And it was his wife.
It's always the wife. I know. I told you about a case where it's a wife.
These rattlesnakes. You just out like looking like, oh, well, I hope it doesn't bite me. What?
Yeah, I mean, you can also buy them.
You can buy them. That's true.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Leslie's so unhappy. I can't give her any more snakes. She'll die. She was already crying and pulling out her hair. We can't do this.
Yeah. It wasn't too bad, right?
Darlene lived.
Yeah.
Which just sounds awful.
Yeah, but she lived a normal life after.
If that happened to me and then I lived after, it would, oh, God.
True.
Or maybe you would have conquered it. You'd just be like, well, nothing scares me
They are
now.
my
I'm
friends
invincible.
now.
You become the
Get
snake
them,
queen.
Glenn.
Here, I'll add to your story because I had a great idea for it. So, Holly, so what you said, like, they're just like, we're coming for you now, Glenn. But it would be like if the, hold on.
Yep, I got it.
The snakes. So she had her hand in there. And then instead of biting her, they just wrapped themselves around her. But then, like, they kind of just became her. They, like, took over. And then she became, like, the queen of the rattlesnakes.
And then she just ate Glenn.
She ate Glenn.
I think
She just opened her jaw and swallowed Glenn whole.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
I think for Halloween, we should turn you into the snake queen.
Absolutely not. That will not be happening.
Boo.
I like that we've given Glenn a different ending, though. It
Yeah.
just gets worse.
Okay.
Take a deep breath.
I'm just remembering all of the times I've seen snakes. They are just flashing through
Oh, no.
my mind. Okay.
I love this for you.
They're not. We're good now.
Yeah.
We're not. Glenn's not here, and nor would he ever be invited.
Fuck Glenn.
Fuck Glenn for
He's
real.
also pretty old now, I think.
Is he
And
still
in
alive?
prison.
I don't know. I honestly don't. I didn't look up.
Yeah. That's right, because he just went to prison.
Yeah.
Don't do
99
Who's
years.
the other guy? Yeah.
that. What a specific. You
I
get
know.
99 years in
You know,
jail.
it'd be great if he hated, if he had a fear of odd numbers.
Ooh, or if they're like 666 years, Glenn.
Yeah.
That's how long.
660.
Right.
Ew, can you not then moving your neck like that?
I'm a snake.
Stop it. Stop. What is happening? I'm getting claustrophobic in here.
Halloween. It is hot in here.
It
It's
is
very
warm.
hot.
goodness.
Okay. I wish I could say it's going to get lighter, but it's not.
There's more?
Yeah. Well, I
Oh,
didn't.
wait. There's
I didn't
more.
see anything yet. So, but I'm going to disgust myself as well because I've
Okay.
fallen on my sword this year for whatever reason. I don't know. So, our most primal fears, as we have established, all seem to be rooted in the complete loss of control. So, like, even the Darlene story is a perfect example of that
Yeah.
because she was at gunpoint. She
Mhm.
had no control over what was happening to her. She
Right.
had no, it just was going to, no matter what. And that's probably why it's like the worst for you, worse than encountering them in the wild, because you're forced into it. Like you have to willingly do it, which is like the be all end all of
Mhm.
almost everyone's fears. That's why Saw was so successful.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
true.
Because everyone's like, are you fucking serious? That's the worst one.
Mhm.
The worst one is I have to do the things. I have no choice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that will harm, kill, or maim us, and we won't be able to stop it. And if I'm right, the convergence of all of these things is parasites.
Mm-hmm.
And the following two stories will make every single one of us very uncomfortable. Now, if I'm right, there's like nobody that is going to be like chill about these things, basically.
Didn't that movie too make like, wasn't it like the #1 movie or didn't get like awards?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
For it being like so bone chilling.
Mhm.
And parasites come in many forms. A parasite is an organism that lives on or in a host organism and gets its food from or at the expense of its host. Specifically, that means that the calls are coming from like the most inside the house.
Ugh.
Oh,
Yeah, your house. And the
Mhm.
danger is in your body and you didn't put it there and you can't get to it.
No.
Yeah, so that's like the worst of all from what I'm thinking, that's like the worst of all possible results. It's just like stealing your life force. Now, usually this means like bugs or worms or little tiny organisms that make a series of small holes, which is why we don't like that. And I thought to myself, hey, how can I make this much worse? And I looked up, has this ever been weaponized? Right? Is there a way that someone did this to someone else?
I sure hope not.
Yeah, there sure is. And at first I went right to like tapeworm diets where people will like voluntarily swallow a pill with the tapeworm in it to lose weight because, you know, you'll get real skinny, but you'll also have a tapeworm When I found out they existed when I was a little kid, that was like the worst 6 months of my life.
Did you? So that's one of those things, along with like sinkholes and just you know what I mean, that you're gonna
quicksand and
quicksand, like all that stuff. Like tapeworms was also one of them.
Yeah, it was
I
always
thought I was gonna hear about it way more on the news.
You're gonna get a tapeworm every time you eat something weird or raw.
Like if you chewed on your nails or something, you're gonna get worms.
Well, pinworms are more common than you think, which also terrifies me. I cannot watch that episode of Bob's Burgers either. Just FYI. Yeah, it's about pinworms. I can't do it. So, I can't rewrite any of this. So this is just the Wikipedia on it. It exists. I have sourced it. It does exist out there in the world. It's real. Trust me. I just could not rewrite it. This is
something I could have done to scare her.
Yeah. This is the 1970 Ascariasis poisoning incident. I didn't even look up how to pronounce it. It's a scary. It's a poisoning incident that took place in Quebec in February of 1970. At least 7 people claimed to have been infected with parasitic worm eggs by Eric Krantz, a former postgraduate student from Hempstead, New York. The victims were Canadians Richard Davis, William Butler, David Fisk, and Keith Fern, with 3 other friends and acquaintances reported to be mildly infested. There is no mild. Anything is terrible. Doctors said that one of the men may have been affected by as many as 400,000 larvae.
Oh, damn.
Yep.
No.
Also, I can't look at maggots, by the way. I can't look at them. I will die. I'll have to move if they're anywhere. I can't. It's not a thing. Oh, boy. Eric Krantz was a 23-year-old postdoctoral student in parasitology. So that's what he was studying at McDonald College in Saint-Anne-de-Bellevue, Quebec. He shared a house with 4 roommates, the people I mentioned earlier, and the roommates were at odds with Krantz, so they were fighting because he hadn't paid $16.66 Canadian, equivalent to, it says $128. That seems weird.
That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, well, it's not a lot. It also says there's an error there. He didn't pay a small amount of expenses in their rent or something. Okay. And so they asked him to move out, and that made Krantz really mad. And he told the roommates, I'll put parasites in your food and you'll wake up dead.
And then he did.
And then he paid the full rent balance on January 31st, but the roommates evicted him anyway. Sometime around February 1st, Krantz prepared a festive winter carnival dinner for his roommates and allegedly tainted the food with eggs stolen from the university laboratory where he studied. The roommates were hospitalized around February 12th, and Krantz left Quebec a couple days later. As the medical investigation continued, doctors suspected poisoning, and authorities were notified. On February 25th, Krantz was charged with attempted murder and Worder, because it's worms. Yep. Wormder. And a warrant was sought for his arrest. He returned voluntarily to Quebec, surrendered to authorities on March 9th, and pleaded not guilty and was remanded on bail. Oh, boy. Krantz went to trial and was charged with intentionally endangering his roommates' lives because he said he was going to do it.
Mm-hmm. That's on it. That's on the roommates.
Right.
Yeah.
There was expert evidence before the court consistent with the presence of Ascaris larvae in the bodies of 2 of the complainants. However, opinions from 3 other laboratory sources were not available. The defense further claimed that the infection could have occurred by way of recurring sewage back up into the kitchen sink of the house. Yeah, because he handled these things specifically. Okay, great. Mm-hmm. A version of events which was denied by at least one complainant. Krantz also pointed out in the course of his testimony that his roommates could have come into contact with the eggs simply by handling his clothing. Why are they touching his clothes?
Right.
Following consideration of the evidence, Judge Gerard Lanier held that there was insufficient evidence to demonstrate the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and Krantz was acquitted. Oh boy. About a week after the dinner, the roommates began to develop cough, dyspnea. I couldn't look up any of this. You guys made me too sick. Mm-hmm. Shortness of breath, weight loss, and fever. Oh, that's the other thing. Parasite-wise, lung flukes scare me so hard. The symptoms did not improve, and on February 12th, they sought treatment at Queen Elizabeth Hospital's emergency rooms with symptoms of acute respiratory distress. In addition to these symptoms, physicians noted wheezing and the appearance of hives. The roommates were treated for pneumonia, but the infection did not respond to antibiotics. Davis and Butler were in critical condition. After about 4 days, the staff was able to confirm the ascariasis, which I think this might be a lung fluke. I didn't look it up. Upon isolating live larvae about 4 millimeters long in the sputum and gastric washings, which means they were coughing them up because they were in their lungs. Yep, I was correct. This confirmed exposure to Ascariasis ova, which were in the microscopic larval stage, migrating via the blood from their intestines into their lungs. As these larvae ascended the trachea and were swallowed again, they began developing into mature worms. 4 weeks after the infection, the victims passed numerous immature worms in their bowel movements. Physicians cleared the developing adults with a course of, stuff that kills them. The victims were released from the hospital on March 5th, but the attending physician said that one of the men would probably have permanent lung damage. This infection established a baseline case or index for Ascaris-Suum infection in humans. Doctors had originally consulted a different hospital, but found no precedent for human infection. So it doesn't happen just casually.
No. Remind me to never room with somebody who studies parasites.
Don't be buddies with the guy that studies parasites and then go, oh, we're going to evict you.
Or don't eat anything they cook.
Why did they then go to be like, you said you were going to poison us, but what a festive dinner. I can't say no.
Look at this food. It can't be poison.
Ooh, we grilling? All right. Like, what are you doing? Why is that a thing?
Quebec.
I know.
Absolutely not. That was awful.
Yeah, that's pretty awful.
So that guy went to jail, right?
No.
No, he got acquitted.
No, they said there was enough reasonable doubt that they could have picked it up from touching his clothes or because it was...
Who's running around touching your roommate's clothes? Not I.
You would have to, really touch his clothes. Like really.
But he was fine.
Yep.
Yeah, which they also didn't find fishy?
Guess not. It's 1972. I don't know anything about the legal system in Quebec. I don't know what's going on medically.
Right.
But... And they said it was totally unprecedented. They had never dealt with this before. They had no idea how to try it because they're like, I've never seen, I would say try it like poisoning because that's what it was.
Absolutely.
But they were like, well, no, you could just get this other ways, but you could be poisoned other ways too. You could encounter poison.
Right.
Yeah. Take a walk through my backyard.
I know. If you go to John's house, you might.
It just sounds lazy.
Yeah.
Legally or from the parasite guy? Yeah, it is legally lazy. I agree.
No, the parasite guy did the most.
There's
that guy works very hard for the worst results I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
It's like, you won't die, but you'll never recover.
You'll never breathe right ever
or
again.
Emotionally, can you imagine? How do you come back from that?
Would be boiling
you just don't.
Everything that I drink, everything that I eat.
But it was inside you.
Oh, no.
And there's no way to tell that they're all gone. There's no way to tell anything. You just have to live the rest of your life knowing that happened.
Try to forget it. Oh.
It's so gross.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. But in a broader sense, where our body is our most basic home, the home of everything that makes us us, we also have an actual home, our house, right? That's another way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are parasites that enter your home.
No.
Yes.
No.
And I don't mean bugs this time. I mean human beings that we call froggers.
God damn it, Holly.
I also hate frogging. It's
we
terrifying.
Don't need to do this one.
Ribbit.
Why is it so cute? It's so awful.
I know. Frogging is when someone secretly lives in another person's home without their knowledge. It's kind of like squatting or, but squatting is usually not in someone's active domicile, but still. The name comes from the idea of leapfrog, with the intruder hopping from place to place like a frog, whether that be someone's basement or attic or crawl space. So it's similar to the Denver Spider-Man, which is another one that I told to make Leslie uncomfortable.
Yeah, you loved that one. I remember that.
Yeah, but that's where all of our neighborhood friends started. So that's fun. And I have a link. Hold on one second. And I'm going to read this article.
You don't need to.
But I will.
Imagine if it was like a frog man. Frogging inside of your home.
And he's also a frog.
And he's also a frog.
Ribbit.
I don't know why that doesn't bother me.
Because you don't have a thing with actual frogs. Okay,
of course you need to hide here.
I will also say that I have sourced this. I have read the news articles. I have read the legal documents in this case.
It's real.
No, I have to tell people this because I'm reading an article, which means like I didn't personally source this article,
Right.
but I did source the case. It is 100% true, but this article is from a website called The Lineup, and it's called A Frogging Nightmare, an Unknown House Guest Planned Gruesome Surgeries for One Honolulu Family. And it is by Kelsey Christine McConnell, published on December 2nd, 2022.
I'm good.
It is the worst. It is the worst story. Then what a bang. So, newlyweds James and Brittany Campbell and their 2 young children left their Honolulu home for a week to visit relatives on the United States mainland. When they returned on September 20th, 2019, it was clear that something was very, very wrong. James's bike was sitting outside in the driveway, but it had been safely tucked away when the family left. That's your first signal that something's wrong. Leaving his sons in the car, James approached the front door, and when he tried to open it, he discovered a stranger inside pulling it closed. So he tried to open his front door, and from the inside, it pulled closed. No, thank you. The intruder peeked through the crack in the door and very calmly informed James, "This is not your house." "Yes, it is. I just unlocked the door." The man inside, Ezekiel Zayas, was just one of many to commit the crime of frogging. This eerie crime occurs when a stranger finds their way into someone's home and secretly lives there for anywhere from days to months at a time, or in the case of the Denver Spider-Man, years. They could be in an attic, a cupboard, or even the walls, like Daniel LaPlante. And unlike squatting, these perpetrators don't care if the residents are around. And as terrifying as having an unwanted and unknown guest might be, the Campbell story only gets worse. When Brittany called the police, James armed himself with a sledgehammer. Bless him. He was like, "Rah!" from the garage, and managed to get Zayas out of the house. So he pulled this guy out of his house and was like, "I will sledgehammer you."
Don't try me.
In the front yard, the couple noticed that the intruder was wearing James's clothes. Zayas took this time to reassure the couple that he had taken care of their cat while they were away.
Oh, good.
Thank you. This prompted Brittany to, of course, run inside and check on the cat, which she found locked in a cage with no water. But guys, the cat's fine. The cat is okay. Cat
Who
lives.
was supposed to be taking care of the cat?
I don't know.
Good question.
Also, it's a cat. Sometimes cats just need like food and water, and they live their house cat life like for a few days at a time. So I don't really know. Once inside their home,
I'm mostly going to be mad at this family.
No, it was an eerie scene. It appeared as though Zayas was doing an inventory of everything they owned. Pots and pans had been stacked on top of each other. All of James's musical equipment had been unpacked in the living room. Oddly enough, Zayas had left the children's rooms immaculate. He even did their laundry and made their beds. However, the couple's bedroom was trashed. And when I say trashed, I mean trashed. I mean, there was so much DNA on their mattress that it was like a sea of DNA was on their mattress. And by DNA, I mean, I feel like I want everybody to connect the dots.
Connected.
You good, Leslie?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's semen. I meant semen, just in case you guys couldn't figure it out. Leslie looks confused, which I was like, oh no. Oh boy. Amidst the mess was one of their old laptops, a device Zayas had used to compile a disturbing diary about the Campbells. So in their old laptop, he was just writing about watching them from within their home. This featured details he had to have picked up from listening to their conversations, including the fact that Brittany and James were struggling to have a baby, and Brittany was undergoing fertility treatments. Zayas commented in his notes that Brittany should have given up and simply focused on the children she already had. Thanks for your opinion. Zayas's notes were titled The Omnivore Trials, a Rehabilitation of Rat-like People. The detailed observations tipped off the Campbells to the fact that this man had probably been living in their home for far longer than they could even imagine. But the computer contained 2 more disturbing files. One was a video that Zayas had recorded as he sat naked in one of the Campbells' chairs. So they're not home. He is naked in a chair making a video in their house.
No.
Yeah. But it gets worse. In the video, he appeared to mock Brittany in a twisted farce of a makeup tutorial. So the pictures, he has like a black line down the center of his face, and he's naked. The other document was far more disturbing. Worse than that, so great. When Brittany noticed that several knives had been set out beside the old computer, she also uncovered a gruesome manifesto. Zayas had typed up horrifying plans for the family, which included surgeries to turn them into a species he called omnivores. This included sexual reconstruction and hand transplant surgeries for Brittany and the children. He had hoped to turn them into perfect people. As horrific as this all was, they started to remember little oddities around the house over the past couple of months that began to make a lot more sense. In the middle of the night,
Nope.
a computer's webcam had turned on. That is like my Alexa fear.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it update in the middle of the night and it's just the yellow lights go on?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what?
That's why I don't have an Alexa.
It's really
I have
scary.
one that has a camera on it that like follows
Absolutely
you around
not.
the kitchen.
My kitchen, I have a show, but
yeah.
in our bedroom, we don't. We just have like the
No, it's
little
just in our
dot.
kitchen, but still, I don't like it.
Oh,
Absolutely
good Lord.
not.
Yeah. Doors had been opened or unlocked they were sure they had secured. So that's the moment where you feel like you're crazy. Where you're like, I know I locked that, but I guess I didn't. How else could that have happened?
A frogger.
Yep. Yeah. The dog barked at what they thought was nothing. My dogs do that all the time. I will never take it for granted.
Yeah.
Boxes in the garage had been opened. Items in the house were out of place. So again, this is all little tiny things that happen within your house that you can rationalize, but you feel really crazy.
This is going to bother me because I also have like a teenage son that's just always throwing things out and like
just frogging away in your house all the time.
So now I'm going to be like, is he? Because he says he's not. And we're just like, you're doing it.
I know. Oh, God. Once, James had even seen a person's shadow outside the house. He later came across a strange message on a desk calendar that said, your rehabilitation starts today. Do as I did. Choose a house, clean it, set up all devices. You found that on your calendar and you were like, what a joke.
No, I would have burnt my house down.
He had thought this was a message from his wife asking him to tidy up around the house. That's how your wife asks you? Your rehabilitation starts today.
You know, we don't ask our wife. We just are like, well, that's funny.
Oh, God. But now James and Brittany knew that all the strange things that had been putting a strain on their home had been the work of Ezekiel Zayas. Following his arrest, your brain's shutting down. Yeah. Zayas was charged with burglary and put on a supervised release.
No.
Yep. Not long after he was arrested yet again for the alleged vandalization of a Buddhist temple. In 2020, while in a correctional facility for that offense, Zayas allegedly beat a fellow inmate to death. That's not allegedly anymore. They proved that. He was charged with murder in the first and second degrees. Zayas pled not guilty. Zayas was found unfit to proceed. As of now, he is being kept in the Hawaii State Hospital until his trial begins. As for the Campbells, their shocking run-in with Zayas has certainly left a traumatic mark. The family has moved out of their Honolulu house, thank God, and left Hawaii altogether. I would too. I'd be like, Hawaii's nice, but I gotta go. Brittany has stated that the struggle for normalcy continues on, and it would. So what's even worse is that there is some proof that this like omnivores thing is like a culty situation. Like there are other people that have this kind of weird belief that talk to people online about it. And he's the only instance, and they certainly believe this to be like a one-off event, but like the fact that that could be a thing is terrifying.
Oh my God.
Oh my, no.
Holly.
I told you, if I'm right, everybody's uncomfortable now.
Well, here to clear up everything is Ezekiel's.
He just comes out of the floor.
Behind this closet. Oh.
Hey, rat people. Yeah, so that's the worst story I have ever found.
So this is like why, okay, so I hear stories like this and I'm like, okay, like let's just put up like cameras around the house to like have them. But then I can't look at those cameras. Like, this is why I don't have...
You won't look at the footage?
I don't... Yeah. Oh, I just can't.
No.
Can people just stop doing shit like this?
frogging is awful all around. Like, there's no way to not be nervous by it.
Yeah.
Normally, not that this makes it any better, it doesn't. But normally, it's not somebody who plans to like fuck you up and do weird things. It's people that are like homeless.
Yeah.
They're just looking for a place to live.
People that are, unhoused, who are looking for like a place that's warm and dry. And like sometimes they will be like, I took food, but I only took food to survive. And I left all day and I hid just to get out of the elements at night, which is still scary. I'll give you that. But it's a lot less scary than someone intentionally watching you at all times.
100%.
The
real plot twist, it was a duck.
whole time. And they're always watching.
Always watching.
Always. The ducks are watching you.
And on that note,
I'm sorry, Leslie.
I think I just want to live in a car now. Like
in a car?
That's out in nature. There could be anything.
You can lock yourself in a car.
Just lock myself in a car. I can see what's going on. I don't care if somebody's in and out of my car.
There you go.
Fine. While I'm in it, it's fine.
We should all be like suitably miserable now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel so gross.
And guys, let us know in our socials which one made you the most nauseous.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely interested in that. And toast? We do have to toast. There's not a lot of redemption in this one.
We should toast
Darlene. Poor Darlene.
Poor Darlene.
I don't know. She put herself in that.
She did put herself in this. You are correct.
True.
She did. All right. No, maybe not Darlene.
Marjorie McCall?
Yes. Crawled out the grave, Marjorie.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Queen.
Cheers to Marjorie.
Maybe a toast to Leslie for destroying her life.
Cheers, Leslie. She's so upset.
We have wrecked her.
I know. There needs to be video next time and heart monitors to see when our hearts are like off the charts. Oh,
goodness.
I think, is that all we have?
That's all I have.
Toast-wise? All right, cool.
That's all you have left.
That's all I have left.
None of us can really function after that.
No.
And if we were dropped headfirst into our own worst nightmares, we would be dead.
Thank you for listening to the We Would Be Dead podcast. Hit subscribe now to never miss an episode. Rate and review our show on iTunes. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Would Be Dead Pod. And join our Facebook group to discuss the podcast and more.
Oh, hell no.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.